We will now listen to the words of the French ambassador in Mexico, Your Excellency, the Honorable Richard Duqué. Madam President, General Secretary, distinguished professors, students, I would like to express my deep gratitude for having organized an event in honor of the language and the French culture. However, I must confess I am faced with an impossible mission to talk about a topic of such magnitude in just a few minutes. Therefore, I will limit myself to the discussion of three features that seem to characterize language and French culture. The first feature that refers to French culture doesn't seem to me to be pertinent. I would prefer to use the term vision of French culture. From the beginning of its national identity, France has characterized itself for having a very open vision of culture. Even before what we now call France, this region was a land open to the adoption of people and cultures coming from all over Europe and from other places of the Mediterranean Sea. All of these factors gave birth to a new type of culture that has ever since been in constant development century after century, blending the foreign influence with our own provisional culture. For example, Unique, Van Gogh, UNESCO, Jean Coty, Kundera, all of them were foreigners and set a good example of what is French culture. On the same token, the French culture, a Roman language or descendant from Latin, has evolved much quicker than the other Roman languages. You as Spanish speakers can easily read the verses of Mio Cid, written over 700 years ago, and so can the Italians read the Divine Comedy easily. But no modern French speaker can understand clearly the Chanson of Roland, written around the same era. These aspects of the quick evolution of the French language are what characterize it and make it different from other Romance languages. For these reasons, the French language can be considered an adopted language. As so many different writers mention when they talk of linguistic patria or adoption land, as does the Spanish writer Jorge Semprún. Another aspect that depicts French language and culture is that they constitute a reason of state by being a matter of concern to the government. For example, the King Francis I created in 1530 the College of France, and he received in the French palaces foreign artists. One of the great benefactors of this policy was, for example, Leonardo da Vinci. In the 17th century, Richelieu created the French Academy, and Louis XIV created the French comedy. This list can be extended to our days with the great presidents of our republic. For example, the Poubou Center for Arts, created by President Pompidou. The Duqué, Art of the 19th Century, created by the President Giscard. The New Louvre, created by the President Mitterrand. The Museum Arly, dedicated to the modern arts and foreign arts, which is being finished by President Chirac. In almost all the countries of the world, France maintains a cultural service, a very important cultural service. In Mexico, we have the IFAL, the Instituto Francés de América Latina, the French alliances. In this country, we have the largest alliance of French schools in the world. We also have the colleges and lycées français, the agency Edu-France for those who want to study in France. A third aspect I would like to underline is that of the French language outside of France. After the independence of the countries that used to belong to the French Empire at the middle of the 20th century, the leader of those colonies or ex-colonies decided to create a commonwealth of nations, of which the French language was a common feature of identity shared by them. This project was called the Francophonie, and it covers governments and countries united around grandiose cultural and economic objectives of cooperation. Concomitant to this, various writers from these countries have tropicalized the French language, initiating literary movements that have greatly modified French literature. Example of this are writers which you well know, such as Argon, Rimbaud, Camus, amongst scores of other writers. With approximately 175 million French speakers in the 5 continents, the French language faces confidently the new challenges of this century. As such, you students of French are not alone. You are part of a vast community of French speakers in 5 continents. I thank very much Westhill University, its interest for the French culture, and I congratulate the faculty and the students of this great university. Thank you very much, and long live Westhill University and the French culture. Thank you.